or have another print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Bruce, and for the next hour I'll be reading from recent issues of the Jamestown Post-Journal on the Niagara Frontier radio reading service for Thursday, July 9th, 2026. Top story, Lake Alliance working on Starry Stonewort Plan. Article by John Whitaker. A consulting firm working with the Chautauqua Lake Watershed and Management Alliance is calling for a management plan for starry stonewort. Starry stonewort is an invasive algae that functions like a plant but forms in dense stands that choke out native plant and fish populations. It has seen sparsely in Chautauqua Lake since 2009, but has been seen more often in recent years, specifically in the towns of North Harmony and Chautauqua at Asheville Bay and Prendergast Point. The recommendation comes after A.J. Rise, project lead for GEI Consultants, presented a recap of the group's 2025 work to Alliance board members during a recent meeting. The Starry Stonewort Plan Reyes is proposing would be a priority work item for 2026, according to meeting minutes posted on the Alliance's website, and include achievable goals, thresholds, and milestones. Utilize a technical advisory group, TAG, made up of experts, and provide feedback to service providers and stakeholders. Reyes said GEI is working to form the technical assistance group that includes local officials and outside experts, and is working to draft a management plan as well as conduct novel reproductive bulbil sampling on Chautauqua Lake. Preliminary survey data from GEI's Starry Stonewort bulbi density sampling at Asheville Bay and Prendergast Point work areas, which shows a significantly higher number of bulbous at the Prendergast site relative to Asheville. Reyes said that GEI's 2026 will focus on questions related to management effectiveness, including how well current management actions are working. He said the state DEC has expressed a desire for this type of long-term analysis and review of past and present data. Starry Stonewort management via diver assistance suction harvesting and mechanical removal is slated to begin sometime in July. Diver-assisted suction harvesting involves manual removal of the algae via suction hoses, which greatly reduces the chances of spread and comes with relatively few environmental concerns. Andrew Goodall, Alliance board member, said Starry Stonewort is a significant issue in Minnesota and asked if any of the state's experience can help from best management practices to deal with Starry Stonewort in Chautauqua Lake. Reyes said Minnesota is likely the state with the largest amount of data relevant to Starry Stonewort management, and that he is hoping to involve experts from the state in the local technical advisory group. Reyes also said he does not know if the state DEC utilizes data from Minnesota when considering permit applications for the chemical treatment of Starry Stonewort on New York lakes. Cassie Pinkowski of the County Soil and Water Conservation District asked if local stakeholders are using information from herbicide treatments of Starry Stonewort in the Finger Lakes. Reyes said he has been in contact with stakeholders from Keuka Lake, where they have utilized both diver-assisted suction harvesting and algicide treatment. The consultant said that the state DEC will use data from New York State lakes, where they have previously issued permits, when making decisions on Chautauqua Lake, and Reyes said he is considering incorporating experts from the Finger Lakes region into the technical advisory group. One issue with Starry Stonewort is the difficulty in removing the invasive plant once it is established. Removing it by hand is time-consuming, and it has been difficult to correctly time chemical treatments because there is not a selective chemical that directly addresses the species. and does not impact native plants. Reyes indicated that while some starry stonewort management tactics work well in isolation, they do not offer long-term control, which is why multiple management techniques is likely the best path forward to address the problem on Chautauqua. Goodall said DEC officials have expressed a desire for buffer zones between areas where mechanical management is taking place and any proposed chemical treatment areas, asking why that is the case if both methods are likely to be used. Reyes said for a pilot test of chemical treatment, it makes sense to perform that work in an area that is not also being managed via mechanical removal. Reyes said once preliminary tests of chemical management have been done, a combined approach may be the best option moving forward. While diver-assisted suction has not seen much opposition, there has been opposition locally to the use of chemicals to deal with starry stonewort. Jackie DeMoore of the Chautauqua Lake Partnership said during the Alliance board meeting that the Chautauqua Watershed Conservancy had submitted a letter to the DEC opposing the CLP's proposed starry stonewort chemical management. That opposition led the CLP to drop its planned chemical pilot treatment of starry stonewort for 2026. The CLP received permits to test algicides on starry stonewort in 2025, but treatment did not occur because the algae was not present in the exact locations that the permits were issued for. SKF eyes role in humanoid robotics business. Article by John Whitaker. SKF is looking to work its way into the expanding Chinese robotics market with a recently announced agreement with Leader Drive, LD, a global manufacturer specializing in precision robotic components. The companies are working together on a venture in China focused on high-precision transmission components for robot joints. SKF officials said the investment is a step into the robotics industry with a particular focus on the application of humanoids powered by embodied AI technology in industrial settings. SKF will hold a 60% majority stake in the venture, which supports the group's strategic focus on high-growth segments. This venture is well aligned with our strategy to drive profitable growth and strengthen our position in selected high-growth industrial segments. Targeting the industrial humanoid segment, this partnership provides the agility needed to respond to rapid market iterations while leveraging our core technologies to support industry advancement, says Henry Wang, SKF president of the industrial region in China and Northeast Asia. The venture will develop and supply high-precision transmission components for robot joints that support the reliability required for continuous operation of humanoids in industrial applications. LD contributes with deep application know-how in automation products and humanoid robotics, while SKF brings expertise in bearing technology, scalable manufacturing, and global supply chains. Together, the companies aim to accelerate time to market and support readiness for volume production in a fast-growing market for embodied AI humanoids. Headquartered in China, the venture will be positioned close to key supply chains and customers, enabling a responsive operating model. In addition to serving China, the world's largest and fastest-growing humanoid robotics market, the venture will leverage SKF's global sales network to target selected international markets, including Europe, Japan, and the United States, SKF said in a news release. The venture is expected to become operational at the end of 2026. As the embodied AI humanoid industry continues to scale, the stable delivery of reliable core transmission components becomes a critical differentiator. Building on our shared foundation in industrial applications, we can help drive technological development in these humanoids and create sustainable value in this expanding market, says Yu Zhou, chairman of the board of executive director at Leader Drive. In June, the Associated Press reported Chinese companies have reported thousands of orders from both the government and private businesses for humanoids that can do such things as sort parcels at postal centers as the country finds ways to cope with an aging population and rising labor costs. However, some experts believe demand for humanoids lags the capacity to build them. China and the United States dominate research for what Morgan Stanley estimates is a $5 trillion humanoid robots market, according to the AP. By some measures, the U.S. holds an upper hand in developing the artificial intelligence for such robots' high-level computing power, or brains. But as the world's factory floor, China leads in the mass production capacity, supplies of hardware, and harvesting of data for training robots. Leader Harmonious Drive Systems, widely known as Leader Drive, operates globally with around 1,000 to 1,800 employees and an annual revenue of roughly $86 million. It is China's largest manufacturer of harmonic reducers, the precision joints used in robotic arms and humanoid robots, controlling an estimated 30 to 40% of the Chinese market. The company has an annual production capacity of more than 500,000 strain wave reducers. More than 60% of its clients are international, with manufacturing, research and development, and sales facilities stretching across China, Germany, Japan, and Singapore. Read all about it. New Fenton History Center exhibit features city's newspapers. Article by the Post-Journal staff. The Fenton History Center celebrates 200 years of newspapers in the newly opened exhibit, Read All About It. The exhibit was created with the help of the Post-Journal's longtime publisher, Mike Bird, retired editor, Christy Herbst, and content from historian Helen Ebersol's book, An Impressive Record, Jamestown Journal, 1826 to 1941. The exhibit tells the story of local newspaper traditions, starting with the first issue of the Jamestown Journal in June of 1826, through the current Post-Journal and Chautauqua Gazette. While Jamestown had more than 25 papers since 1826, few lasted more than a decade. The exhibit is told through images, video, and small and large artifacts that represent our publishing history. We would love to collect the community stories about their interactions with the newspapers. In Jamestown, we have a place set up at the editor's desk for visitors to share their stories and memories. Did someone in their family work for the paper, or did they? Were they a newsboy or carrier? We want to collect those stories, said Joni Blackman, exhibit curator and executive director. Stories and memories can also be sent to stories@fentonhistorycenter.org. The exhibit is open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. through the end of October. The Post-Journal was first published on June 21st, 1826. It was known then as the Jamestown Journal. The paper made its debut as a semi-weekly, 56-column newspaper. Publisher Adolphus Fletcher printed the paper on the second floor of his shop. In 1870, the Jamestown Journal transitioned from a weekly publication to a daily publication, the Jamestown Daily Journal. In 1941, the Jamestown Daily Journal merged with the Morning Post to become the Jamestown Post-Journal, now the Post-Journal. And there's a picture of an old desk. It says a typewriter is set up in the way a reporter's desk may have looked before computers, along with a Jamestown Sun, paper tube, and photos of a newspaper press room, as part of the Fenton History Center's new exhibit, Read All About It. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Jamestown Post-Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Lawmaker Eyes Veterans Remembrance Graduation Requirements. Article by John Whitaker. As New York works toward competency-based graduation standards, a state assembly member is proposing adding a Veterans Remembrance civic engagement requirement as well. Assemblyman Jake Blumenkrantz, Republican from Hicksville, introduced legislation A.11601 before the end of the state legislative session that would require every state public high school graduate participate in a meaningful act of remembrance, honoring those who served in the U.S. Armed Forces. The freedoms enjoyed by every New Yorker were secured through the sacrifice of generations of American service members. Yet many young people graduate from high school without ever visiting a veteran cemetery, learning the story of a local veteran, or participating in an act of remembrance honoring those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. Blumenkrantz wrote, "Across Europe, communities liberated by American soldiers during World War I and World War II continued to demonstrate an extraordinary commitment to preserving the memory of fallen Americans. In places such as France, Belgium, and the Netherlands, school children and families voluntarily care for the graves of American service members decades after the wars ended. The Never Forgotten Act seeks to bring that same spirit of gratitude and civic responsibility home to New York. One such cemetery adoption tradition is found in the 65.5-acre Netherlands American Cemetery, located on a hill just outside the village of Margraten in the Netherlands. There are 8,288 Americans buried there, and people who adopt a grave visit it regularly and leave flowers on the fallen soldier's birthday, the day they died, at Christmas, on Memorial Day, or whenever else they see fit. Some reach out to families of the dead in the U.S., forming lasting transatlantic friendships, according to a 2024 Associated Press story commemorating the 80th anniversary of the start of the liberation of the Netherlands. Students could satisfy Blumenkrantz's proposed Never Forgotten Act by caring for, cleaning, beautifying, or maintaining a veteran's gravesite, placing flags, flowers, wreaths, or commemorative markers at veterans' gravesites, participating in organized cemetery stewardship programs, researching and presenting the life story of a deceased veteran, or participating in memorial restoration projects and veterans' remembrance ceremonies. The bill also requires an educational component relating to military service, civic duty, citizenship, and respectful treatment of veterans' memorials and burial sites. Blumenkrantz would encourage school districts to partner with veterans organizations, cemetery associations, and government agencies to facilitate participation. Accommodations and alternative projects are provided for students with disabilities or documented hardships. No student would be required to incur a personal expense to satisfy the requirement. School districts would also be able to exceed the Never Forgotten Act's minimum requirements. This legislation recognizes that remembrance is not merely an annual observance, it is a civic responsibility by requiring students to participate in a meaningful act honoring a deceased veteran. The bill strengthens civic education, promotes historical literacy, fosters patriotism, and helps preserve the legacy of those who defended our freedoms, Blumenkrantz wrote in his legislative justification. At a time when civic engagement and historical understanding are increasingly important, New York has an opportunity to teach gratitude through action and ensure that future generations understand the cost of freedom. Before earning a diploma, every student should honor someone who never made it home. Falconer to hold public hearing Monday. Article by John Whitaker. The Village of Falconer will hold a public hearing at 6 p.m. Monday to get village residents' opinion on the village's plan to apply for state grants to complete sanitary sewer system work. The hearing will be held in the Fireman's Exhibit Hall, 3 Colson Drive, Falconer, to hear public comments on the village's community development needs and to discuss the possible submission of one or more community development block grant applications for the 2026 program year. The CDBG program is administered by New York State Office of Community Renewal and will make available to eligible local governments a total of $45 million for public infrastructure and public facilities projects. Village officials are planning to apply for $2 million in CDBG funds to complete sanitary sewer system improvements, including manhole rehabilitation, cured-in-place pipelining, sewer main replacement, and pump station upgrades. The hearing will provide further information about the CDBG program, including progress towards beneficiary goals and program objectives, and will allow for citizen participation in the development of any proposed grant applications or to provide technical assistance to develop alternate proposals. The CDBG application would pay for part of a $11.5 million project that village officials took steps to approve in 2025, including declaration of no negative environmental impacts under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. The 2025 SEQRA resolution, SEQRA resolution, states the village can issue general obligation serial bonds to help pay for the project to be paid off over 30 years. Falconer officials have also applied for State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grants that can cover up to 25% of eligible project costs, as well as an application to the State Environmental Facilities Corporation revolving fund. Written comments may be submitted to Cynthia Capistrani, Village Clerk, at 101 West Main Street, Falconer, New York, 14733, until Thursday, July 16th at 4 p.m. Tobacco business, Mobile Home Park, found guilty of violations. Article by Gregory Bacon. A judge has found a North County business guilty of violating a state law for selling tobacco products, as well as a South County mobile home park for not submitting required water reports. A representative with NF Sparks, Inc., which is located at 105-107 Lakeshore Drive East, Dunkirk, appeared before the Honorable Betsy S. Steger, the designated Chautauqua County Board of Health hearing officer. The business was accused of selling an illegal flavored vapor product to an individual under the age of 21. Jessica Wurtzel with the County Health Department told the Board of Health her office sent an underage individual to the business to see if that person could purchase a tobacco product, and that person was sold the flavored vape. After being found guilty by Steger, the business was fined a total of $650, $300 for selling a tobacco product for a person under 21, $100 for selling a flavored vape product, and a $250 surcharge. 2 points were also placed on the business license. If the business gets 3 points in a 3-year period, the business can have its tobacco license suspended for a year. This was the first time NF Sparks, Inc. has been cited. In a separate hearing, Garfield Village Mobile Home Park, which is located at 3017 Garfield Road, Bustye, was accused of not submitting multiple water reports last year to the county. Reports not submitted in 2025 included lead and copper monitoring requirements, nitrate monitoring requirements, disinfection byproducts, Stage 2 monitoring requirements, synthetic organic chemical monitoring requirements, and minimum PFOA, PFOS, and 1,4-dianine monitoring requirements. According to Wurtzel, during the hearing, a representative from the mobile home park told the judge that he believed the lab was supposed to be taking care of these reports, but no samples were ever submitted. The mobile home park was found guilty and fined a total of $4,200, $3,950 of the dollars for the numerous missing reports, and a $250 administrative fee. The County Board of Health unanimously approved of the fines. New chapter. JPS appoints Innovation Center Assistant Principal. Article by the Post-Journal staff. The Jamestown Public Schools Board of Education has approved the appointment of Nicole Marino to serve as the new assistant principal of the Innovation Center at R.R. Rogers School. Marino, who is currently the assistant principal of Jefferson Middle School, will begin her position this month. The Innovation Center represents an exciting investment in the future of our students and our community, said Dr. Kevin Whitaker, Jamestown Public Schools District Superintendent. Nicole brings the leadership, relationship building skills, and passion for student success that will help bring this vision to life. She will be instrumental in expanding partnerships with local industry while creating opportunities for students to explore careers, gain hands-on experiences, and prepare for life after graduation. Established in 2023, the Innovation Center at R.R. Rogers School has served as an extension of Jamestown High School's technology programs, including its aviation and carpentry courses. Building on that foundation, the district is expanding the Innovation Center into a comprehensive career exploration hub, where students will connect with local industries, explore high-demand careers, and participate in hands-on learning experiences, mentorships, job shadowing, and apprenticeships. Marino joined Jamestown Public Schools in the winter of 2025 after spending 4 years at Sherman Central School as assistant principal and 1 year as principal. Prior to joining Sherman in 2018, she spent 23 years as a teacher at Randolph Academy. She began her career as a physical education teacher at Clymer Central School, and prior to joining Jamestown, served as a physical education teacher at Southwestern Central School. Marino holds her Bachelor of Science in Health and Physical Education degree from Slippery Rock University, her Master's in Special Education from Edinburgh University, and her School District Administrator degree from Nova Southeastern University. I am excited to serve our Jamestown students in this new role, Marino said. The Innovation Center has the potential to open doors for students by helping them discover careers they may not have otherwise considered, connect with local industry, and develop skills that will prepare them for successful futures. At the same time, these opportunities can help strengthen the workforce through Chautauqua County and our region, and I look forward to aiding that work. Westfield Rescue awarded $500,000 grant for new shelter. Article by the Post-Journal staff. The Northern Chautauqua Canine Rescue has been awarded a $500,000 Companion Animal Capital Projects Fund grant from the State Department of Agriculture and Markets to support construction of a new shelter. NCCR is one of 12 organizations statewide selected to receive funding through the Companion Animal Capital Projects Fund. Competitive grants were awarded based on demonstrated need, detailed project descriptions, and the reasonableness of projected costs. New York is investing nearly $10 million in animal shelters and rescue organizations across the state to upgrade aging facilities and strengthen care for dogs, cats, and other companion animals awaiting adoption. From cats and dogs to small animals like rabbits, guinea pigs, and more, pets are family, said Governor Kathy Hochul. Many of these beloved companion animals start their journey at an animal shelter or humane society, so I'm proud to continue supporting these essential organizations through New York's historic Companion Animal Capital Projects Fund. This funding awarded today is going to make a real difference, helping to better equip these vital facilities with the tools they need to keep our furry friends safe and well cared for as they wait to meet their new families. Since the program launched in 2017, New York has dedicated more than $48 million to the Companion Animal Capital Projects Fund, administered by the Department of Agriculture and Markets. To date, 150 projects have been awarded across the state. The funding helps offset the costs of projects such as renovating dog kennels, improving medical facilities, and building more efficient shelters that reduce long-term operating costs. The $1.2 million capital project will support construction, renovation, and expansion work designed to enhance animal care, improve health and safety, and help ensure successful adoptions. NCCR is raising the remaining funds through its current capital campaign. Everyone at NCCR is excited about the capital campaign and honored to have been awarded such a generous grant from the state of New York. We are looking to work with community members and local businesses to help raise funds to cover the remaining costs for our new shelter to provide a new home for happier tales. If you would like to help, please reach out. Trenton Lutz, NCCR board member. The new facility will better serve the dogs in NCCR's care, as well as the staff and volunteers who support them every day. New state standards for animal shelters created new official requirements for any group that rescues dogs and cats, requiring better veterinary care, specific housing standards, and daily exercise. The law also provides specific guidelines regarding temperatures, noise levels, lighting, and ammonia levels, as well as how long an animal can be tethered or left outside. The project brings the organization one step closer to creating a safe, updated space that meets current New York State regulations and provides dedicated areas for food preparation, grooming, meet and greets, and daily operations. For more information about Northern Chautauqua Canine Rescue, visit www.caninerescue.www.caninerescue.org or contact Jordan Nichols at 716-326-7297. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Jamestown Post-Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. CCHS launches Pet Expo T-shirt design contest. The Chautauqua County Humane Society is launching its Pet Expo 2026 Youth T-shirt Design Challenge, inviting young artists to show off their creativity while celebrating animals and the spirit of community. The contest is supported by Greater Chautauqua Federal Credit Union, joining not only as a sponsor, but as a promotional partner, helping spread the word throughout the region. As part of their support, Greater Chautauqua Federal Credit Union will award the winning artist their choice of a $100 deposit to open a savings account. Each finalist will also receive a gift card along with the recognition already built into the challenge, including public celebration, social media features, and the chance to have their artwork showcased at Pet Expo 2026. The contest invites artists ages 19 and under to submit original designs inspired by animals, kindness, and the mission of the Chautauqua County Humane Society to empower the community to improve the lives of animals. The winning design will appear on the official Pet Expo 2026 t-shirt. All finalists will be honored during a special reveal supported by Greater Chautauqua Federal Credit Union at CCHS Pet Expo 2026 on Saturday, October 17th at the Northwest Arena. Submission information can be found at Chautauqua Humane, that's CHQHUMANE.org, or at greatercfcu.com. Jamestown DAR chapter honors local students. The Jamestown chapter of the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution recently held an award ceremony at the Partridge Sheldon House to honor local students who had been selected by their schools. Students were chosen due to their conduct in their schools and communities as they demonstrate the qualities of honor, leadership, service, and patriotism. The Good Citizen Award is given to 12th grade students, and the Youth Leadership Award is presented to 8th graders. Each student selected receives a certificate and a small award and is recognized at their school's award ceremony as well as by the DAR. County hosts Hope Healing Conference. The 2026 Hope and Healing Conference of Western New York brought together advocates, professionals, individuals with lived experience, families, and community members for 2 days of presentations and discussions. More than 175 attendees participated in the first day of the conference to hear keynote presentations, participate in breakout sessions, and share resources. That included Hope Talks, which offered personal perspectives. The conference welcomed an attendee from Algeria. The second day included the Family and Community Day, Camp Hope, Where Stories Grow, a discussion facilitated by Joseph Green, where youth, families, community leaders, and attendees gathered together in a large circle to share perspectives and ask questions. To learn more, visit hopeandhealingconference.com. YWC Jamestown receives grants. The YWCA of Jamestown has received a $100,000 grant from the Health Foundation for Western and Central New York. The foundation has selected 16 nonprofit organizations to receive a total of $1.6 million in funding for general operations through the Strengthening Every Angle CEA Change Fund. The C Change Fund was launched at the beginning of 2026 to support organizations that are experiencing challenges resulted from changes in public funding over the past year. The 16 organizations will receive grants of $100,000 each to support general operations, meaning the money does not have to be used for a specific program or service line. The Health Foundation is dedicating an additional $400,000 in funds to capacity building services for the selected grantees, including individualized coaching and skill development to strengthen their long-term organizational health. General operating funds are an essential resource for the long-term strength of nonprofit organizations, especially in the current funding landscape, said Dr. Nora Surik, president of the Health Foundation for Western and Central New York. The C Change Fund is new, but it represents the Health Foundation's core approach, building trusted relationships with our nonprofit partners so we can pursue big picture solutions for a healthier community. MHA making newsletter more easily available. The Mental Health Association in Chautauqua County, MHA, is making it easier for anyone who is interested to receive a copy of their quarterly newsletter. A lot of good things are happening here, said Michael Norden, Mental Health Association Executive Director, and we want to keep the community informed. IT Manager Joseph Vaughn, who is responsible for all things technical at the MHA, including the layout of the newsletter, recently added upgrades that make the newsletter more readily accessible. To receive a paper copy by post, visit mhachq.org/subscribe. For an email version, go to mhacontact mhachq.org/email. All back issues can be found at mhachq.org/newsletters. The Mental Health Association is a peer recovery center offering support groups and individual coaching for people looking to improve their lives, deepen wellness, thrive in recovery, or support those on a recovery path. Peers use their personal stories to help people find recovery in their own lives in their own way. Everyone is welcome to MHA Recovery Luncheons on the third Tuesdays of the month at 1 p.m. The July 21st luncheon will be the annual barbecue. Like all MHA services, the luncheons are free. The Jamestown Recovery Center is at door 14 in the rear of the Gateway Center, 31 Water Street. Normal hours are 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Fridays. The North County Recovery Center at Grace Lutheran Church, 601 Eagle Street, Dunkirk, is open Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. To learn more about the MHA, call 716-661-9044 or visit mhachq.org or facebook.com/MHAC Chautauqua, MHA Chautauqua. A schedule with descriptions of MHA's dozens of groups and classes in Dunkirk and Jamestown is at mhachq.org/groups. The next Felton Canteen will be held Saturday, July 11th, which is today and already passed, but it's at the Fenton Mansion Museum, 67 Washington Street, Jamestown. Canteens are held on the second Saturday of each month from 10 a.m. to noon. Veterans of all ages are welcome to join for coffee, cookies, and camaraderie. Service dogs are welcome. Reglina to screen film Friday. Again, this would already had happened, but there's other information. The film I Love Boosters will be screened at 7 p.m. Friday, July 10th at the Reglina Center for the Arts. Kiki Palmer and Demi Moore star in the film, which features a crew of professional shoplifters take aim at a cutthroat fashion maven. I Love Boosters is rated R and is 113 minutes long. Upcoming movies at the Reg include Leo Woodall and Dustin Hoffman in the caper thriller Tuner, that's July 15th at 7 p.m. Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renée Rensviv in the hit psychological horror film Backrooms, July 17th at 7 p.m. Paul Rudd and Nick Jonas in the musical comedy drama Power Ballad, July 22nd at 7 p.m. And the Australian romantic supernatural film Leviticus, July 24th at 7 p.m. Tickets for most movies at the Reg are $8 in person at the box office and $10 online. Tickets online at reglenna.com and by phone at 716-484-7070. Family showings are $7 in person at the box office and $9 online and by phone. Special engagements are priced differently. The theater and box office at the Reg are located at 116 East 3rd Street, Jamestown. The box office is open Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from noon to 5 and 1 hour before movies and events. Allegheny Outdoor Club to ride, hike, Sunday. On Sunday, July 12th, members of the Allegheny Outdoor Club will ride bicycles or hike on the East Branch Trail in Spartansburg. The group will meet at Massant Street at 1 p.m. or in Spartansburg at the Trailhead parking area at 2 p.m. The trail is near the Dutch Pantry restaurant. Greg Burkett is the leader of the activity. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Jamestown Post-Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Free drumming instruction at Prendergast Library starts July 9th, but there are other times. So starting Thursday, July 9th, the James Prendergast Library will host free drumming lessons on the Prendergast Library's front lawn from 11 a.m. to noon. Instruction will be provided by Infinity Visual and Performing Arts with funding from the Murray L. Bobb Education Initiative. The program is open to all ages and ability levels. No musical experience is necessary. Drums are provided, but those attending are also welcome to bring their own. The program will run on Thursdays from July 6th through August 13th. Participants can attend as many or as few sessions as they'd like. No registration is needed for the free program. For more information, call the library's information desk at 716-484-7135, extension 2226, or visit prendergastlibrary.org to view the library's program calendar. The library is open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. weekdays and 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday. Panama School Board to meet Monday. The Panama Central School Board of Education will hold its reorganizational meeting at 6 p.m. Monday in the boardroom. The meeting is open to the public. Area Police Reports. Jamestown Police Department. Ivan G. Benitez, 41 of Jamestown, was charged with fourth-degree criminal mischief at 1 p.m. Wednesday after officers responded to a North Side address for a 911 investigation. Officers determined that a domestic incident occurred, resulting in a cell phone allegedly being smashed. Benitez was found a short distance away and taken to the city jail until he could be arraigned. Kyle D.M. Pratt, 19 of Jamestown, was charged with second-degree menacing, endangering the welfare of a child, and fourth-degree criminal possession of a weapon at 8:33 p.m. Wednesday, after officers responded to an East Side address for a complaint of a person with a weapon. Pratt allegedly threatened a juvenile with a knife. Pratt was located a short distance away and was taken to the city jail until he could be arraigned. Arthur A. Hubbard, 36 of Jamestown, was charged with first-degree criminal contempt at 11:30 p.m. Wednesday after officers responded to a downtown Jamestown address for a report of a possible trespassing complaint. Officers located two individuals laying on the sidewalk together. Hubbard allegedly was violating a valid stay-away order of protection from the woman he was with. Hubbard was charged and taken to the city jail until he could be arraigned. Chautauqua County Sheriff's Office. Stockton. Joshua W. Fowler, 51, of Cassadaga, was charged with second-degree harassment at 7:20 a.m. Wednesday after deputies responded to a harassment complaint in Stockton. After investigation, it was determined that Joshua W. Fowler allegedly threatened to cause physical harm or death to another individual. Fowler was released with an appearance ticket to be in Stockton Town Court later. Portland. Ashley L. Wakely, 28, of Portland, and Jeffrey D. Kozlowski, 28, of Arkwright, were charged with secondary harassment at 10:03 a.m. July 2nd after deputies responded to an alleged harassment. Wakely and Kozlowski allegedly initiated unwanted physical contact with another person. They were found after the incident and issued appearance tickets to be in Portland Town Court later. In sports, Bontemp's career Sports Odyssey to continue in Atlanta. Article by Scott Kindberg. Editor's note, the following article first appeared in the Post-Journal on April 20th, 2019, after former area resident Tim Bontemps became an NBA writer for ESPN. Now, the 41-year-old Randolph Central School alum has joined the Atlanta Hawks front office and will serve as a strategic advisor for the team. The headline, which read, "Kyrie Irving finally has his playoff moment," was posted to ESPN.com earlier this week, but I was most interested in the byline directly below it that identified the author of the online story. Because as much as Irving's 37 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists were critical to the Boston Celtics' 99-91 victory over Indiana in Game 2 of the NBA's Eastern Conference first-round playoff series Wednesday, my primetime player, from this corner of the world anyway, was Tim Bontemps. Tim has been an NBA writer for ESPN since last November, the most recent stop in a professional odyssey that has taken him from the New York Post to the Washington Post in the last dozen years. Oh, by the way, Tim, now 34, was born in Westfield, grew up in Sherman and Randolph, and graduated from Randolph Central School and St. Bonaventure University. Talk about a local guy making good. When I was a kid, I was a huge sports fan, Tim said recently. One day, I think I was about 10 years old, I had an epiphany that I was not going to be a professional athlete. So I decided if I wasn't going to be able to be a professional athlete, it would be pretty fun to go to the games for free. And to go to games for free, the way to do that was to write about sports. When I was about 10, honestly, that was the conversation I had with myself. Pretty prophetic. Jeff Bontemps is a farmer in Randolph, and Tim spent much of his youth working with his dad on the farm. While I didn't want to get into farming as a career, it did form my childhood quite a bit, Tim said. In other words, life on the dairy farm meant that Tim learned to work nights, weekends, and holidays, just as he's done during his sports writing career. Now I work on Christmas and I work on the 4th of July, he said. It's kind of what I've always done. It's also something I grew up with. My dad would go to work every single day. I didn't want to necessarily get into farming, but because of my dad's example, it showed me that working every day like that is necessary, is a necessity. So it hasn't fazed me that I'm in a 24/7, 365-day business now. Getting from the farm in Cattaraugus County to Boston's TD Garden, home of the Celtics, has been equal parts talent and tenaciousness. Recalled Tim, my senior year at Randolph Central School, I remember Paul Stewart writing in my yearbook, "Good luck trying to pursue this field. It's incredibly challenging and a crowded business to get into. The way you have to do it is you have to work harder than anybody else." That always stuck with me. And hard work begets good fortune, which Tim readily acknowledges. A lot of people have been a lot of help, he said. If you're going to do this job, you have to get very lucky. Upon graduating from high school, Tim matriculated at St. Bonaventure, which has an all-star cast of journalism alumni, including Adrian Wojciechowski, now the NBA insider with ESPN, and Mike Vaccaro of the New York Post. I didn't even know those guys went to school there, Tim said. My parents, Jeff and Ellen, are both from northern New Jersey, so I read both. Wojciechowski in the Times-Herald Record in Middletown, New Jersey, and Vaccaro in the New York Post, when I would go visit my grandparents. Inspired by Wojciechowski and Vaccaro, Tim decided he wanted to try to be like them, professionally too, so he developed a game plan, even if he describes it now as arrogant and stupid. Spring semester of my freshman year, I worked at the school paper, and I went to the office of a professor named Pat Vecchio. He was one of the advisors of the student paper. Because I was a very stupid 19-year-old kid, I basically went to his office and said, "Listen, I'd like to be a famous sports writer someday. Could you get me in touch with someone so I know how to do that?" Vecchio, according to Tim, wrote an email address and name on a post-it note. It changed that trajectory of a teenager's life. The name on that post-it note on that day in 2004 was Vaccaro, a lead sports columnist at the New York Post. Within a couple of hours, he sent Tim back a 2-page email with his contact information, along with that of Wojnarowski and Chuck Polak, of the longtime sports editor at the Olean Times-Herald. The career path that Tim envisioned as a 10-year-old was maybe not crystal clear at that point, but he certainly had a direction, not to mention ambition. Vaccaro remembers that email. Sadly, one of the reasons I remember so well is that Tim was one of the few students who didn't only reach out to me, but was persistent about it. Vaccaro said via email, "I told him at the time that alone put him ahead of the path of a lot of his colleagues, so few whom tend to take advantage of the resources Bana has. But that was never a problem with Tim, and he stayed in regular contact, and he did so in a way that's 100% obvious why he's become the reporter he's become." Serving as an intern at the Times-Herald, beginning his sophomore year at St. Bonaventure, Tim joined a long list of talented TH alums, including Wojnarowski, Vaccaro, Tom Missel, and Tyler Dunn, who is an Ellicottville native. Honestly, it helps that St. Bonaventure is there, but it's also certainly a testament to Paul Pollack after the influence he's had on all of us, Tim said. "He's a terrific guy and a great mentor to me." After working at the school newspaper at St. Bonaventure and interning at the Times-Herald, Tim also did an internship at the Buffalo News. Shortly after his graduation from Bonas in 2007, he had an interview scheduled with a newspaper in South Carolina. But then a funny thing happened before he even left for the 5,000 circulation daily. "I was in a pasture feeding cows with my dad, and Vac calls me," Tim said. The plans to go to the Deep South were scratched. The New York Post, Vaccaro said, had a clerking job, which would mean Tim could write once a week and assemble sports agate pages during his other 4 shifts. "Vac got me in the door," Tim said. "He's just been a massive influence on me all the way through." Ever so slowly during his 5 years with the New York Post, his writing opportunities increased, essentially becoming a general assignment staff member. By 2012, he took over the Nets basketball beat and broke some big stories along the way, including Jason Kidd's coaching departure from the team in 2014, before landing his dream job, national NBA writer at the Washington Post. "I couldn't believe the Washington Post was interested in hiring me," Tim said. "That was the place I always dreamed of working. I think it's a gold standard in sports journalism, newspaper-wise." You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from recent issues of the Jamestown Post-Journal. We read from the Jamestown Post-Journal every Saturday at 6 p.m. Your reader has been Bruce. Thank you for listening, and as always, make it a great day.
Coming up next on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the Niagara Falls Review. At 8 o'clock, we have Off Duty from the Wall Street Journal. And at 9 o'clock, we have Sports Illustrated. Stay with us for these readings and more. The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability